It's nice to enjoy a long break. The snow's finally melting, and I can just take the time to just relax at the park. Hi. Hey. Is something wrong? Did I put my hat on backwards again? Oh, no, I'm just sad. Really? Why's that? Well, I actually kind of like Sanjay and Craig. You mean that show about the boy and the snake and the only stereotypes that actually kind of offend me? Why's that a problem? Well, a bunch of my friends just made fun of me for it. Hey, if you think that's bad, when I was a kid, I was a big fan of the animated Sabrina series. No way! Oh, excuse me. I'm Alex Payton. M-Crew dude. I was actually kind of hoping to review the show right now if you want to go talk about it some more. Oh, sure. I'm no good on camera, but I would gladly join anyway. Okay, let's go then. Really? You'd be my friend? Just like that? Yeah, I need to rush because I've only got 14 minutes left of video, YouTube. Cool house, Sam. Hey, thank you. Are you sure you don't want to be in the shot? Oh, I'm more of an observer, but I'll just hang out and listen to you. Don't worry. Well, okay then. Sabrina first appeared in 1962 and had her own comic series in Archie's Comics. She's best known for the live-action sitcom Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where she was played by Melissa Joan Hart. The show premiered in 1996 on ABC's TGIF lineup and received very positive feedback, lasting 7 seasons. During its run, an animated adaptation of the series also ran in 1999 and only released 65 episodes. This show was produced by DiC Entertainment, which was owned by Disney at the time, but all of the following Sabrina projects was still published by DiC, but not under the ownership of Disney. The animated series has a much more childish tone and is straight up ridiculous. That's why I'm here to take it down a peg from an adult standpoint. So let's fly right into Sabrina the Animated Series. I will start by saying that the opening theme is obnoxious. It was performed by a band called Bewitched, while most of the band's members were whiny-voiced teens. What's also strange is that most American broadcasts never showed the whole intro, while the Canadian broadcast had an extended version featuring more action and was a little bit more intriguing overall. The show takes place in the town of Greendale, which could be anywhere for all I know. The sitcom took place in the fictional town of Westbridge, Massachusetts, so why would they bother changing settings? Our main character is, of course, Sabrina, voiced by Melissa's younger sister, Emily Hart, while her two aunts, Hilda and Zelda, are voiced by Melissa herself. Instead of a teenager, Sabrina is 12 years old and can freely use magic, which follows a different continuity from the original show where Sabrina had no knowledge of her magic until her 16th birthday. Her aunts are said to be hundreds of years old, but due to their abuse of magic, they have been sentenced to live in their teenage bodies, even though their designs look like they're in their late 20s. Of course, Salem is still here, and voiced by Nick Bakay, who reprises his role from the sitcom. Bakay was also one of the writers for both shows, and would later go on to write other movies such as the Paul Blart Mall Cop films. They explain that the Witches' Council turned Salem into a cat because of his selfish abuse of magic, which brings sort of an odd question. Is there a set punishment for abusing magic, because some cases will have you turn into a cat, and other times a teenager? So what, is the Witches' Council like Nexus game mods, where they punish you however they feel? Also, I thought Salem couldn't use magic as a cat, even though he clearly can here. Some may argue that he can only cast minor spells, which I can buy, but what qualifies as a minor spell? Salem can magically change clothing, conjure a magical vortex, he can spit fireballs, and turn a coffee table into an alligator and then a swimming pool. I think the witches need to rethink their rules. Also, Salem starts swimming in the pool, even though it's been stated several times that he doesn't like water. There are also a handful of supporting characters, such as Sabrina's mortal Uncle Quigley, who has to look after everybody. Harvey still makes an appearance, but he comes across as more of a friend rather than a love interest. Sabrina's best friend Chloe, voiced by Cree Summer, is her supportive best friend, which is really her only personality trait. There's a conspiracy nutcase named Pi, and I actually can kind of relate with him. It definitely is hard to find a hat that fits your head. And finally there's Jem Stone, whose only personality trait is being the snobby rich girl who dislikes Sabrina for some reason. She's kinda like Libby Chesler, but a lot less interesting. She even bullies Sabrina in the dirtiest ways, like she even throws parties in her mansion and deliberately excludes her from them. There was even an entire episode where she loses her money and has to live with Sabrina for a few days, and even then she really doesn't receive any development in her character. I can understand why the show had its fans, but I have to explain the biggest problem with the show. Their universe has no rules. The characters randomly cast spells without any reason or explanation. By doing this, they take away potential for some scenes that could have been funny.
Take the easy way out by using witchcraft. You're showing real maturity.
Oh no.
And setting a fine example for Sabrina.
Like, wouldn't the joke have worked a lot better if you had seen his reaction? They also use magic to randomly fix their problems at the end of some episodes, even when they had plenty of opportunities beforehand. And for the times that they can't do something, they usually come up with some lame excuse like they don't have enough magic. Like, what does that even mean? Even their lore doesn't make much sense because of how much stupid crap is thrown in for no reason. For example, the episode Fish Stick takes place during Cliché Week, where if one says a cliché, it'll come true. Why? I don't know. And yes, they do abuse this joke about twice as often as it takes to stop being funny.
Man, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse.
You want fries with that?
And get this, sometimes they even use rhymes when casting spells.
Water, water, blues and greens turn us into submarines.
God, so stupid! With limitless magic comes lazy story writing because every time Harvey sees something magical, they just erase his memory and call it a day. There's no explanation to anything, and for what is explained, there isn't much clarity on how it all makes sense. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Wizards of Waverly Place has a much better lore than Sabrina's animated series. There, have at me! In Wizards of Waverly Place, you get to see how each spell is explained and how it works. The rules, while silly, actually make sense, and best of all, they find creative ways to have the spell create conflict with the characters in their teenage lives. Also, their version of a netherworld is much more detailed and their creatures have better designs, while in Sabrina, their netherworld is just a bunch of floating doors and furniture with generic Halloween monsters and random shapes wandering around. On the topic of failed humor, the jokes are poorly thrown out. They often resort to stupid word puns like in the episode Witch-itis, where they come up with terrible names for diseases.
Lucky for me, witches don't get the measles, right?
You're absolutely right. We get Wiccan pox, low broom sugar, cauldron tunnel syndrome, and worst of all, witch-itis.
And it says here in the book, if you don't get immediate attention, it can turn into hypogermia.
Hypogermia? What's that?
How do I know? I'm not a doctor.
Also, a message to cartoon writers, you should never call your made-up diseases something with itis, because the itis suffix relates to inflammation, which is not the case here. In some cases, they usually just make weird literal jokes off some old sayings, like saying that rose-colored glasses will allow you to only view positive things, and if you magically lose your wisdom teeth, then take a wild guess what happens. I can see where the writers are coming from with some of these jokes, but I really don't think they thought many of them through because they aren't funny, they don't do anything new or creative, and they're just overall lacking. I know I liked the show as a kid, but I feel like kids deserve a little bit more effort in their animated shows. Another problem that I'm sure many of us can agree on is that the songwriting is unforgivably lazy. Yeah, Phineas and Ferb this ain't. There was even an episode where they become pop stars, and we really experienced some of the writers' best. Now isn't that just inspiring? Take about 7 words and make it a song.
She's lip syncing. She's not even singing.
Talk about a waste of animation. You could have just had the words not sync up with the mouth movements. Lord knows we've done it before. Sadly, the best song, or least awful, is when they magically perfect their own song.
Orange, mango, coconut, and peanut butter sprinkle. Bubble gum and butter rum, tapioca tinkle. What's your favorite flavor when you're on a sweet snack tear? You want something to savor. We'll make your tonsils ring. Come on, Sabrina, sing.
The rhythm isn't too bad, and they even got Weird Al Yankovic to do a parody.
I've got an electric shaver for all of my back hair. Wanna do me a favor? If you would be so kind and help me reach behind.
To be fair, that was freaking awesome. But finally, an episode that I would like to go into deeper detail because it embodies all of these flaws is called Wiccan of the Sea. In this episode, Sabrina and Chloe are tired of the snow and want to enjoy 1 hour of warm weather. Clearly, they've never been to Boston in January. You need a whole friggin' week just to unwind. They ask for a spell from the spooky jar. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that? There's a con artist genie who lives in a haunted cookie jar that gives them spells with a bizarre twist. He sends Sabrina, Chloe, and Salem to the beach, but turns them into mermaids even though they give this joke away before they take notice of it. The three of them explore the ocean, but quickly get eaten by a giant fish that appears to be on an all-pop culture diet.
Look! It's the necklace that old lady tossed overboard at the end of that giant ship disaster movie.
No wonder the old litter bug tossed it. It's plastic. Oh boy, would Leo be angry after all he went through?
Hey, look! The long-lost lyrics to Louie Louie.
Hey, it's the feather that Gump guy lost.
Look, you two. The scavenger hunt's fun, but we gotta get out of here and find that amulet, or we're gonna be storing our school books in Davy Jones's locker.
Oh no, keep looking, you might find a dinglehopper, P. Sherman's goggles, or whatever was relevant in the 90s.
Let's figure a way out of here.
Hey, check this. I saw this ridiculous idea in a cartoon once.
Cartoons. They'll rot your brain, you know.
The irony is stunning. After escaping, they come across a colony of mutant fish creatures in the town of Gillville, and sing the worst song of the entire show.
The ocean floor, which is fathoms deep,
Music so loud,
the sharks can sleep.
can't sleep. Might as well keep going forward. Water must flow through gills.
Sea slugs twisting with no spine, accidentally on purpose.
I'm gonna say it. Don't do it, M-Crew! I have to! It's almost as bad as Pingo's song from Tentacolino. I know I can't take that back, but seriously, it's really almost that bad. Give Pingo some credit, at least his voice was clear enough to understand every piece of crap word, but here, they used the most annoying voices they could find to make it unbearable.
Even when they're out of tune.
You'll be shocked how good you feel to mama with an electric eel.
Boogie with species that you won't know.
Yes, unless you watch these yakus go. Your whales riot in so suits.
Watch out there, it's the slug boot!
Once that butchering of your eardrums comes to an end, the episode's antagonist rears her ugly head. A jellyfish named Queen Stingy who demands special trinkets from the fish or else she will eat everybody.
Sheesh, she should get a job at the IRS.
She later gets defeated by getting stuck on a torpedo that was launched from a submarine, which was its only real purpose in the plot, and they did build it up beforehand, so it just comes across as a disappointment for it to have such a weak payoff. So Sabrina, Chloe, and Salem return to the island where they started with the help of a team of flying fish pilots.
Up, up and away! My old silverfish!
On the planes. Hop on the planes.
Oh,
My bad.
Okay, to be fair, that joke made me laugh the first time. They all return home, and the episode comes to an end. And with that said, I hope you can understand my festering disdain for the show, Alex. You liked it as a kid, so what? So what? It sucks! What was I thinking? With a weak premise, bad writing, annoying characters, awful pop culture references. I see what you're saying. Just because you liked something lame when you were younger, doesn't make you a dumb person. Personal tastes change. What entertained you when you were younger may have had its flaws that you were able to overlook, but looking back, they might seem distracting now, but try to remember what you liked about it to begin with. It still might hold some value. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. And that is why I'm giving this show to the Mask of Negativity. What? But what about what you just said? I said it might hold some value. I never said I thought the show was still good. This is the M-Crew Dude signing off, wishing you all a very pleasant day.